was probably like 13 years old when an adult all but cursed me out because I didn't want to perform in a dance recital. Yeah, that was weird. So, we're starting a series called Life Lessons with Kristen. That's me. And we're going through 4 phases: childhood, teenage years, young adulthood, and adulthood. To be fair, I'm only 27, so there's probably more lessons to learn in adulthood, 100%. But this is what I have right now, and I feel like there's a differentiation between young adulthood and adulthood. So that's why I'm separating them, because early 20s and mid to late 20s, it's a different life. It's a different girl. So we got to separate. But this video is on lessons learned in childhood. Today's lesson is about when you're doing it right and that's still not enough. So let's just hop back to the story. So it started 8th grade. I was going to this dance school since I was 3 years old. So 8th grade is about 13, and 10 years. Like, I'm locked in with the people at this dance school. We celebrated birthdays together. I hung out with their family. I mean, I was like family. We were really, really close. And like, I had been doing shows for 10 years. And so for me, I guess let me back up a little bit. I love dance. Dance is a part of me. Even when I try to stray, there's nothing in this world that makes me feel like what dance makes me feel. And so growing up, I committed my life to dance. I never necessarily wanted to be a dancer because I knew there wasn't a lot of money in it, but it was always a part of my DNA. And so I spent hours of my life in dance, probably more than anything else in this life. I've spent dancing. I was at dance school all day on Saturday for like 10 hours. I don't think at that studio I had classes during the week. So I'm pretty sure I was just there Saturday, like morning to night, like almost opening to closing. And so when you're spending that much time with people, you have an opportunity to really get close with them. And so I had been really close with these people. And we're gonna fast forward because the point of this video is not that story, but it was my 8th grade year, and this would have been my 10th recital. And I was a good dancer. So usually I'm in the front, like I have solid roles in all of my pieces. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just saying that I contributed. My presence would be missed. And I decided probably in April or May, which is really late to be fair, because the recital's in June, like end of June. And I decided that I didn't want to do the show that year because I had been inducted into the National Junior Honor Society. And I was about to graduate 8th grade or middle school and have the opportunity to go to the ceremony. And the ceremony happened to be the same day as my dance recital. Now, I'm a child. As much as I love dance, I wanted to celebrate my accomplishments. I'm about to go to high school. I got this opportunity. Mind you, where's the National Junior Honor Society now? Nowhere. However, in that moment, it was really important to me. And I was like, I've done 9 other recitals, so I'm just going to miss this one. No big deal. Plus, I was just going to come back next year and be in the next recital. So I told my really close friends at dance, and I told let's call her my dance mom or my dance auntie. I told my dance auntie that I didn't want to do the show that year because I wanted to participate in the National Junior Honor Society. Now, the exact details of how this conversation went are a little blurry, but I can vividly remember her dropping me off one day. I think it was after some type of gathering I had, and I think it was just she and I in the car. And she was expressing, like, she was in my driveway getting ready to drop me off, and she was expressing such grave disappointment in me for not being in the recital. And she accused me of spreading discontent, if you will, amongst my dance friends about the studio. Like, I maybe I was saying that I didn't feel challenged, or I wish we could do some other things like some of the other studios. Um, but she accused me of saying, like, oh, I'm gonna leave the studio. I don't want to be there anymore. And she was like, after all the things that we did for you, how could you betray me like this? How could you betray us like this? Why would you do this? And I don't know if she told me not to come back, but I mean, why would I want to come back after all that? Mind you, I'm 13. Okay, this is a grown woman, like 40 years old. She was giving me everything. And I mean, I went on. I definitely didn't do the recital. And I don't think I did the end of year barbecue or like summer barbecue. And I was just like, wow, I'm really gonna do dance. Well, I didn't do the show that year, and I didn't attend the summer barbecue because after that interaction, I was just like, wow, that was crazy. Um, and it's hard for me to remember the feeling, but it just felt like I don't think I did anything that wrong by choosing myself in that moment. What's the big deal? And of course, looking back, maybe I could have handled it differently, but I was 13. My mom didn't have any issue with it because she's like, you've done 9 other shows, you'll do another one next year. No big deal. Anyways, that severed that relationship. But what that taught me was that even when you're doing all the things right, even when you don't go out being shady, people will still find a way to let you know that that's not enough. And that's the lesson that we're pulling out of that story. The first thing I want to talk about with doing when you're doing the right thing and it's not enough is that what people are going to say to you is going to hurt. Because if you're genuinely believing that you're doing the right thing and you're putting your best foot forward and you're moving with the right intentions, when someone attacks that, you're going to feel hurt, which is only natural. You're human, and that's okay. And it doesn't matter if you're 13 or 33, like, you're a person, you have feelings. And I think the main thing is that it feels like an attack on your character. It's not, oh, I don't like the way you dress, or I don't like how you talk. It's more so, I don't like who you are because your decision that you made was insufficient for me. And that is what hurts, because you're like, I'm trying, thought I was doing the right thing, and now you're telling me that wasn't enough. So that's a bit confusing. And it's harder when it comes from someone you love or someone you care about, because I was really close with these people. And it's just like, you don't want to give me the benefit of the doubt. You don't want to understand my point of view. I've explained to you why I'm making this decision. It's not like it's something bad for me, it's something good for me. Why wouldn't you support me in doing that? And people will move with their own motives. They will make their own choices, and ultimately you can't control that. No matter if you love them or if they love you, people are going to do their own thing at the end of the day. And that is a harsh fact of life that I had to learn at 13. And it's hard. So coming out of that, I let that ruin my trust in relationships. And I'm not proud of that, but we're breaking those shackles and moving on to better. But for me, it was like, if an adult, someone with a fully developed brain, which you should read a little bit into neuroplasticity, because I don't know, I'm a little unsure if the whole fully developed brain thing is true, because your brain can keep growing, but that's a totally different video. Um, but and at that point, I was like, someone with a fully developed brain, an adult with a job, right, is was so close to me, proclaimed to love me so much, to then flip the script and be so angry at me, a child, for making decisions. Um, then anybody can do it. Then anyone my age can do it. And so when people start moving funny, I'm not gonna feel sorry or feel bad. I'm just going to remove those people from my life and ultimately never talk to them again. And that was the way I was moving post that, because I had been scarred by the fact that it doesn't matter how much love you give to someone, they can really turn on you. And so I kind of want to tie that in a little bit with my learned nature of people pleasing, because I think what really hurt me was that I'm doing everything right. Oh, I'm trying to be a good person, trying to make you like me. Not necessarily trying to make you like me, but trying to be liked. Not, I don't want to say trying to be liked. Embracing being likable. I wasn't the person that embraced being contentious or embraced anger or conflict or confrontation. I kept it simple, minded my mouth. That was me. And good and bad for what it was, that's who I was majority of my life. And to some extent, I'm still that way now, but I am breaking out of that. And I think situations like that kind of reinforced being a people pleaser for some reason or another, but it wasn't good. So if you're following the story, as we're progressing, that was the incident that happened. And then as I continued to grow, it was like, okay, well, let me not do anything to make people want to have that reaction towards me. That's kind of what it was. Let me not be the reason that somebody gets upset with me or wants to leave me or whatever the case may be. And I never got into a situation like that again. But I think I just got some bad understandings of relationships post that, and just could have handled some other relationships better as I grew up. It took me a while to get out of that. Like I said, it's something that I'm still working through, but I think that what I had to learn is that just because you're doing everything right, first of all, it will never be enough. And it's not that it'll never be enough for other people. It will never be enough because you'll never be perfect. So you will make a mistake. And it's okay. That second part, the and it's okay, was hard for me to grasp. And it has been hard for me to grasp, but I'm learning more how to grasp that, because I value the image that people have of me. But if you're someone who values the image that people have of you, that conflicts with being the villain in someone's story. And I didn't really like or want to be the villain in people's story. And there's been instances where I was like, whatever, I guess it's my fault. But I think I mourned some relationships a little too long when someone made me the villain in their story, because I just didn't want to be perceived that way. I didn't want them to go out and tell other people, yeah, Kristen did this and she did that, and that's why I don't like her. Again, that people-pleasing nature kind of comes back, and it's like, I don't want that. I don't know how else to explain that, but I didn't want that. And, maybe that's something that you can relate to, but it took me getting older, but also having to go to therapy, and not going to therapy for this, but in therapy, I learned that it's okay to be in conflict with someone healthily. It's okay to confront someone if you're feeling like your needs are not being met, or if you feel like you're doing too much and they're either not appreciating it or they're not reciprocating it or valuing it. And it's also okay to make a choice for yourself that someone else may not like, and you can love them and they can love you. And that doesn't mean that they're going to leave you just because you made a choice for yourself. And I've had other situations like that, which have been harder for me. I've done them, but they still felt hard. And I think now I'm at the point where I'm learning that it's okay if that feels hard. It's okay if I'm still working through how to make those choices more easily or more naturally, because I'm essentially unlearning the bad habit to relearn a healthier habit. And I think just in making this whole series, it was hard for me to think about what are the lessons I've learned throughout my life, and or what are the experiences that I've had that have taught me things? Have I learned from that? And if so, where am I now in comparison? And I think the person I am now would have doubled down on the decision that I made, and I'm happy that I made that decision. But I think just now, as I'm thinking about it, it's like children are so brave. They make decisions and they don't think twice about it. And then situations like that happen and they form who you are as an adult, because then you get a negative response and then you start developing a habit like, well, I don't want that negative response again. Like, let me prevent that from happening. But it's like a child doesn't know that, you know? Like now as an adult, you might think twice about doing something like that, but a child is not. They're just going to do what they want. And I think I'm I think I'm trying to get back to that child a little bit and make a decision, or not make a decision, but make decisions for myself regardless of how they could be perceived, but also with the knowledge of being an adult and being okay with that. Because it's important to make decisions for yourself. It's important to understand that every decision you make is everyone around you is not going to like that decision. It's important to know that sometimes I don't like the word villain in someone else's story, but you're the bad guy in someone else's story. And it's all perception. It doesn't change who you are as a person. I mean, of course, unless you're doing something bad to somebody, but you can disagree in love. And I think that if that had happened, I would have this whole, the subsequent years wouldn't have happened the way they did. Because if she had disagreed in love and let me know she disagreed, but still loved me and still respected my decision, that would have trained me or built up a confidence in me that, oh, this person who really loves me, who I really love and respect, doesn't agree with my decision, but handled it in a way that made me feel loved and supported. I think things would have been different. And so, let me take a second. I think that if she would have disagreed in love, I would have learned the lesson and then moved on from it. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. You can disagree with someone in love, learn from that lesson, let it go, move on. Make the choice that you think is best in that moment. Understand that not everyone will agree. Not everyone will think you're doing enough. Not everyone will think you're doing what's best. And be okay with that. You're not going to make a perfect decision. And if it's the wrong decision, look back and think about what you've learned. And if it's the right decision and it works out, you don't need to go back and rub it in their face or, I told you so, whatever, because they'll learn as well that maybe I shouldn't stick my nose in someone else's decision making, or I'm glad that worked out for her. I really thought what I was telling her to do was a better, plan of action. So this is my encouragement and motivation to you out there who feel the need to always try to do what's best, or always try to do what's right, or always try to do enough. First of all, don't do that. Second of all, understand that you won't always make the right decision. Have grace and mercy for yourself to know that you're making the best decision with the information that you have in that moment. If it turns out great, yay. If it doesn't, that's okay. You've learned from it and you move on. Wow. Okay. I feel like I learned more about myself just in talking about it. I tried something different, like planned out the whole video, and just trying to make sure that I'm clear in how I'm conveying things to you guys. But I think talking things out is something that's a useful tool for me. And so just being able to talk through the situation out loud thoroughly really helped cement the lesson that I learned from this. So if you resonated with that lesson, if you can relate, share your stories with me down below. I'd love to hear any lessons you learned from your childhood. I'm sure there's a lot of lessons out there. I think this is a good activity for me, or a good exercise, just to reflect on my life thus far. So I am looking forward to the rest of this series. And if you are as well, make sure you're subscribed so you can get notified when the next video gets posted. I do post monthly, so it will take a little while before we get to our next video, but definitely stay in touch. Comments below. You can follow me on Instagram and Threads. It's the same handle. It's Kristen's Butterfly Effect, but I'll drop it down below. And yeah, next lesson we're talking about teenage years, which is a scary time because my teen years were hard, honestly. They were hard. And so we'll see what that next lesson is like. But if you're interested in learning about my life lessons from my teen years, stay subscribed, stay connected, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.